Hey guys, it's Coach Julia here for my third and final video for Lipedema Awareness Month. My goal for this video is to just share my story and to allow myself to be vulnerable, which is not something that I'm very good at, but it is something that I feel that I need to do. So, no stalling, let's just go. I first found out about lipedema, it was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. I remember that day in particular, I had convinced myself to wear a tank top, which was something I was a little cringy about doing just because I'm so self-conscious. But I was like, you know what? You've been working hard, like it's getting hot outside, don't be ridiculous. So I was in a tank top and I was in the bathroom. And this girl came up to me. There were a couple of us girls in the bathroom at the time, but she came up to me and she said that she has seen me in here before, working hard, working out, all of these things. And she was like, but I think you have the same fat disease that I have. And I was like, what? Like, I did not expect her to say that. It was very uncomfortable. She started explaining all of these characteristics that I have discussed in all of my previous videos, and she was touching places. She was touching my arms, she was touching my wrists, she was pointing out how big and how tube-like my legs were, and also my ankles. And it was very awkward because these are places on my body that I've always been excessively self-conscious about. So to have her touching me in a tone that you have this fat disease, it was extremely uncomfortable, but I could tell that she was coming from a good place. I could tell that she was concerned. She urged me to look it up, and she said that make sure you type it in right, because a lot of people will look up lymphedema, and this is a completely different thing, as you guys now know. And so I thanked her, and I went about my workout. And I immediately Googled it, which was my first mistake. When you first Google lipedema, it comes up with the worst case scenarios. That's what Google's for, right? It was showing like stage 4, and in a tiny little description on the bottom, I remember it saying that this is a fat disease that will eventually take over your body, and there's no cure for it. So I got completely freaked out. Totally panicked. I thought to myself, man, if this is what people see when they look at my legs, like, I can't handle that. And so I tried to stay there. I tried to finish my leg day. I remember specifically it was leg day because those are my favorite days. I couldn't do it. I had to leave. I panicked, I freaked out, and I left the gym. So after that, I started hiding again. Wearing long sleeves in the summer, which I tried really hard not to do. Eventually, because of my support system, I stopped doing that. But it really set me back. Like I said, that tiny little ounce of confidence that I had, it was gone. But you know, looking back now, as uncomfortable as that situation was, and how self-conscious it made me even more, I really do wish that I could see that girl again and thank her, because if it wasn't for her being brave and just coming out with it, just telling me flat out this is what I have, I would still be at a complete loss. I have not seen her. I've only seen her like once since that day. But if I did have the chance, I would definitely thank her for being brave and being very blunt and upfront. So let's rewind a little bit. Before I was approached, I had been working with a personal trainer for several years prior to this, and she could kind of tell that I was extremely frustrated with my progress or lack thereof, and she, over time, convinced me that I needed to go to the doctor to get my hormones checked out, because with all of the variables that we took the time to monitor and change, again, there was nothing happening. And so I did do that. I went to several different doctors, did get my hormones tested, I was put on antidepressants. I implemented the diet changes and the protein sources that were suggested to me. I did everything that both of the doctors suggested. And it was interesting because during these visits, it was, be kind to yourself. You'll get there, just keep going, keep working hard, to, well, she has to be closet eating. And that was pretty devastating to have somebody say that about you, especially when you have been so diligent. And that's always been a fear of mine. Throughout my journey, my weight was not dropping significantly, and my legs especially did not really make any drastic changes no matter what I did. I was just spinning my wheels and I was not going anywhere. So because of this frustration, I grew to be even more harsh to myself, both mentally and very much physically. I've always blamed myself and felt like a failure regarding my weight loss journey. If my hormones were considered to be within range, now what? The only thing that was out of whack was my cortisol, and that's where the doctor told me, be kind to yourself, less stress, stuff like that, which that was not going anywhere. So also on the other hand, if the doctor didn't believe me that I was being diligent about my eating habits, then how many other people around me thought the same thing? They see me working so hard in the gym, but with what results, and mathematically it's what makes the most sense, and I understand that, oh, she works really hard, she must not be dieting appropriately, and this kind of left me paranoid, I'm not gonna lie. I was, it has to be me, right? Clearly I'm not making smart choices like I thought I was. Maybe I'm giving myself too much credit. I have to work harder, I have to eat less, I have to be more strict. And unfortunately, that's exactly what I did. So fast forward now, about 4 years of being stuck in this vicious cycle after she had approached me. And I did very minimal research, the very quick, scary Google search. I kept telling myself that I couldn't have this disease, that my legs have just always been big, I've always been thick, and that I was the one that wasn't working hard enough to shrink them. And plus, when I saw on the surface that there was no cure, I didn't think that I could handle knowing if I had it or not, if there was nothing I could do about it, and that this was just going to take over my body. I couldn't accept that. And so I tried everything I could to just push that to the back of my mind and just kick my training into overdrive even harder. And so as much as I tried to shake that and put that to the back of my mind, the things that she told me never left my mind. They kept lingering in my head. Could not shake what she said. And, I would do a lot of deep thinking. My wrists, my arms, my legs, everything. As much as I didn't like hearing it, she was right. No matter what I did, no matter how hard I worked, I wasn't changing like a body should be. And I remember at the time that I was still working with my personal trainer, I remember being so frustrated during our sessions because I would ask for very brutal sessions. I remember telling her that, like, oh my gosh, my legs just feel so heavy during, plyometric movements and like stepping up constantly, doing these full body circuits. I would tell her like, oh, I can't, like my legs are so heavy, and it was so frustrating because my mind, I knew that I had more in me. My mind was willing to push through, but my legs would just stop working, and it was so irritating. And going back to thinking more, I did work hard with no results. I did have constant pain in my legs. I did have random bruising. Side note, these pictures here are actually my legs taken at random times. I can 100% tell you in every single one of these photos, I have no answers, no ideas as to why these bruises are on my legs. they just appear randomly out of nowhere. And previously I would be like, oh, like, got my little cheetah print going on, like my legs are just peppered in bruises randomly all the time, and it's not pretty. But like I was saying, you know, the things that she had said to me, they were starting to add up, and I knew that it was time to consider the fact that I might actually have this incurable disease. So I have been officially diagnosed now by 3 different doctors, 2 of which are lipedema specialists that I mentioned in my last video. I have been formally diagnosed with stage 2, types 3 and 4, which, if you remember from my last video, just means that my upper and lower legs and my upper and lower arms are what is being affected. After being officially diagnosed, I was extremely emotional. I cried all of the time, randomly. I allowed it very quickly to rob me of things. I fell into a very dark place. I avoided the gym and was just working out in a dark garage, which, if you have lipedema, or anything for that matter, don't avoid the gym. That made me feel 10 times worse. But at the time, I felt like I couldn't be there with how often I was getting emotional during my workouts and how uncomfortable I felt all the time. Because at this point, it's not just me being critical to myself in my head. Like, this is real. And so I have allowed it to consume me more than I realize. And this goes for, you know, even before I knew that I had it, because the struggles have always been there. I've grown used to the physical pain. It's always been there. The bruises have always been there. The inconsistencies, that has always been my normal. And so, you know, I would tell myself, you know, of course your legs hurt, or of course your arms hurt, of course you can't move like anybody else should. You have a lot of fat that you have to get rid of. And so for me, I'm kind of used to that physical pain, but it's the mental and emotional pain that seems to hurt a lot worse than the physical right now, now that I know what I'm being faced with. Just like anybody on a fitness journey of any kind, I have good days and I have bad days, specifically pertaining to this disease. Some days I am optimistic and I'm patient with where I'm at, with what I'm facing. But then there are the other 99% of my days. Days where I am at the gym trying to enjoy my workouts and I see my legs or my arms at a specific angle or in a specific light, and I just want to panic and I want to pack it up and leave. If you are somebody that I bug at the gym and have you take your headphones out 100 times, it's not because I don't know gym etiquette or respect the fact that you're there working on your, you know, yourself and your routine. It's just that I'm drowning in my thoughts and I need your help. And so, there are a lot of days where I feel trapped in my skin. I feel disgusting. I am ashamed and frustrated, knowing the fact that the hard work that I put into my body is never going to be reflected like it should. I feel embarrassed as a personal trainer trying to advocate health and change and confidence when I cannot do that for myself. I hide all summer long, and if I don't, then I am constantly adjusting, trying to walk tall, not letting my arms bend a certain way, trying to keep my hips from bulging, or standing or sitting in a certain position. I can be pretty ridiculous about it sometimes, but there are days that I just want to crawl out of my skin. But it's on days like these that I have to remember, as weird as it is to acknowledge, that it's that I have to think about it in a different way. That it's not my fault, and it's not from lack of hard work, it's not from lack of trying, or lack of dedication to my health. That's not what it's about. And so on days like that, that's just what I have to remember a little extra sometimes. As frustrated and as emotional as I can be talking about this, one positive outcome that I can take away from this is that it has made me advocate for myself. It is not something that I do. It is not something that I'm good at. But I've really surprised myself in being able to demand answers and not accept a maybe, or not accept being accused of closet eating, or not accept the fact of, once you're kind to yourself, once you get your mental right, then the weight is just gonna fall off. I am surprised in being able to demand the answers and do the research that I have. I am particularly shocked at the fact that I have been able to put myself out there. I actually hate being on camera because of how self-conscious I am. But this project has actually been really, really good for me. It's helped me to stop being so negative and cry about it, and actually get up and do something about it, in trying to share what I know, and then sharing my story to either help somebody discover that they have this and what they can do, or even just bringing awareness like I have throughout this entire month. That is one positive takeaway. I have also been extremely appreciative, and I feel very lucky to have the group of people who have supported me throughout this mess, family, friends, doctors, before and after learning that I have this disease. Those of you who helped me, you know who you are, hopefully. Hopefully I'm thankful enough to you guys. And as I continue on this lifelong journey, all I can do is just continue to try to make sense of it, take it one day at a time. I am trying to take control and manage where I can to the best of my ability, and I am taking as many precautions and considering as many options as I can, and just trying to remain positive, as hard as some of these days can be. That is it for this third and final video, and if you are still listening to me, thank you so much for listening to me and my story.